Yo, what up, y'all? Welcome to another reaction video. This time I'm going to be watching and reacting to a video from a YouTuber by the name of Skip the Tutorial. This is their video on can you beat Punch-Out Wii using only one punch per fight. I don't know, y'all. I gotta be honest with you. I don't even think that's a reality because there are so many things that you have to account for per fighter. Now, I guess you could probably try to do a win by decision thing where you hit them once and then you just avoid, dodge, block, whatever you got to do from that point on just to not take any damage and win that fight. But even with that, I think there are a lot of variables, but I guess that's what we're here to find out, if this can be done. So nothing really more for us to do but to check out this video. Hey, if you're new here, please sub to the channel and turn on the notification bell if you enjoy what it is I do. And that's it. Let's get this thing started.
Can you beat Punch-Out for the Wii using only one punch per fight? After beating the game without dodging, it's about time we gave Little Mac the Saitama treatment and ease up on the punches. For this run, the rules are simple. In each fight, we only get to throw one punch. That's it. So if that's the case, we'll need to do our best to beat every single match by decision. And when that comes down to health bars, that means that, sure enough, we can't get hit once.
Can't take any damage.
And with the guidelines set in place, folks, buckle in, because it's time to take on the One Punch Challenge.
This is going to be interesting.
For hobby, I'm Skip the Tutorial, and here we get to the bottom of gaming's weirdest challenges. And hey, if this is your first time here, then spare your one punch on that subscribe for weekly deep dives into your biggest questions. Now, it's immediately apparent going into this run that not every fight is going to be created equal, which makes sense. Obviously, dodging one of Glass Joe's hooks just isn't going to give the same trouble as Bald Bull's Rush.
Correct.
But what really did surprise me about this run is how some fights radically change in difficulty, especially with certain fights getting easier than they were before. When someone like Super Macho Man starts feeling at home in the minor circuit, it begs the question, why such a 180? And I think the reason this run gets so different from a normal playthrough is that we aren't triggering the later phases of their fight patterns. Don Flamenco is the spitting image of this concept.
I didn't think about that.
Not only do we never get to knock off his toupee, but we also don't get baited by so many of his attacks, making the major circuit champion one of the easiest in the game.
Yeah, that'll be real simple to do against him.
Donkey Kong, since he just defaults to two basic attacks when we let him be.
See, I wouldn't know.
When his tie is in his eyes, then that's the perfect opportunity to get the punch.
Still haven't fought Donkey Kong.
This run definitely handicaps our opponents, but in others, oh boy. So to talk about those, here are the 7 fights that make doing 100 push-ups, sit-ups, and squats every single day seem like a breeze. Ranked from difficult to, oh my god, what? Number 7.
Yeah, I want to know the more challenging ones.
Now, this fight's difficult for all of the wrong reasons. Because on a surface level, this one seems pretty easy.
Yeah,
well, we're only doing
you should be able to hit him one time and
doesn't exactly
avoid.
Improve his moveset. His infamous Disco Flurry attack doesn't come into the mix. And because of it, some simple dodges can just get us through. That is until we make it to the round 3 buzzer and notice that he has his whole life bar back. When I first saw that, my whole life flashed before my eyes.
I've never noticed
I swore that I'd hit him. So what happened? Well, unlike his contender face-off, this time, if we don't intercept his taunt, he'll gain some life back. And if that goes unchecked, we lose our title in the decision. So at its core, this fight might not be as strenuous as some of the others from title defense. It's the subtle mechanics at play here that really highlighted an issue in the run, one that we'd have to face in much more serious conditions.
So what do you do then?
Such as, number 6, title defense is Soda Pop. This is like Disco Kid if he knew how to fight. In this case, I usually don't do this, but I'm gonna pause real quick. So how do you beat Disco Kid? Do you wait until the final round and then hit him? Because then you don't have to worry about him getting that HP back. But if he gets that every time he does that little taunt or whatever, then I don't know, man. That's challenging. Like, what do you do there? You know? Now, anyways, not to stop in between the video to talk, but you know, it was kind of necessary because I didn't want to over talk
the actual video. Let's do it. Let's get back into it.
Moves like his combo attacks never happen if we don't knock him down or punch the bottle out of his hand. But that's not to say this one's a cakewalk. To beat this fight, so much of the strategy just comes down to memorizing his 9-punch pattern. And once we get that down, it really is just avoiding his irregularly timed attacks and picking up the weird intervals. Now, one thing to note is that it's not too far off from his contender appearance. So what makes this time significantly more difficult?
He probably regenerates too.
Just like Disco Kid, the issue here comes down to a
he gets some health back
concept. During the intermission between rounds, he'll take the time we spend lollygagging and listening to Doc to heal up with some scientific soda. And that'll put us to a loss if we're not careful. So on top of the struggle of just making it to round 3 against this guy, we also need to squeeze in an uppercut right before the timer runs out. It's a setup that allows for a lot of error, and it'll require plenty of restarts if we slip below perfection. Number 5, Title Defense Super Macho Man. Unlike his contender counterpart, Macho Man gets a whole lot of support this time through. In my book, the main problem for that has to be his speed. On paper, it's fairly straightforward to understand this pattern. A couple of punches from our right, follow up on the left, duck the clothesline, rinse repeat. But when those punches on the left are almost overlapping in their timing, it can cause some serious issues, especially if you're as slow as I am.
And that's probably why I struggled with him when I did that one career run, that contender run.
Match might be the best place for that, because the number of resets required to just figure out what's going on in the real deal is ridiculous. And worst of all, we don't even get to release the bogus once for this fight.
You want to release the bogus, baby.
Number 4, Title Defense's Bald Bull. This one comes down to a straight endurance match. Unlike some of the other World Circuit counterparts, Bull doesn't like to hold back with his moveset.
Not at all.
Even when he requires the same pattern recognition and study as the other fighters, he's a much tougher opponent to figure out. But even after fighting him several times, I still got schooled by his uppercut, so I guess some problems always stick. But as every Punch-Out veteran knows, the real pain here comes from the Bull charge.
If you catch him there though, that's it.
Once. We'll need to dodge past this punch.
You can't knock him down.
Which is to say, he'll go for several of the things in a row before he even tuckers out. And truth be told, I almost put the contender fight in this slot because my console would start to lag like crazy after all the particle effects from the third attack. But Title Defense still takes the cake in the category because he goes on for 4 of the charges instead. And unlike the contender run, we don't even get the satisfaction of knocking him down one time with the punch.
Which sucks.
It's a lose-lose situation. Number 3, contender Mr. Sandman.
I would hate to deal with him for a one-punch fight.
One phrase, it'd have to be swift overhead punch. Because good God, the window to dodge this one is crazy small. So we can't let our minds wander for a second, or else we'll have to restart. But
man.
And on top of that, his Dreamland Express move can be a real threat as well.
It can.
Since he'll try his best to throw off our timing if we're not careful. Really, he's a tough combo to master, but it's worth it for moments like this.
Tell your face to leave my fists alone.
Yeah, maybe once, pal. And taking him down there makes the contender run possible.
Yeah, it's got to be a lot of satisfaction.
What about part 2 in Title Defense? Number 2, Title Defense, Mr. Sandman.
This Sandman is a monster.
The problem points from the other fights that we discussed come back full force here. If the speed of Macho Man was a problem, then you're not ready for the breakneck blink punches, or the pure patience needed for matches like Bald Bull reaches a boiling point here, with his pattern taking a crazy 18 punches before looping, if you count the 2 Dreamland Expresses. This can make each round feel incredibly long, especially since we don't get the downtime of stun frames like you would in a regular run. For that reason, round 2 is where I personally wore down. I crossed the 5-hour mark in this run, and my goldfish brain couldn't keep track of where I was in the pattern, meaning plenty of brain damage for Little Mac. But mental roadblocks aside, we have the full opportunity here to learn the pattern and then practice like crazy. So we bear through the onslaught of Afraidy rushes in round 3, and then duck right one last time to take the decision win.
Nice.
And while I wish that was it, we still haven't talked about the toughest fight in the game. Number 1. Title Defense King
Hippo.
All right, so what makes this fight so much tougher than Sandman? I mean, King Hippo's moves are fairly straightforward. He even plays like a near carbon copy of Contender in his phase 1. So what gives? Well, because as far as I know, it's impossible. Now, we're able to land a hit. That part's not a problem. Just wait till he opens
his
mouth.
It didn't do damage.
Swing, and that'll throw him in a stun. But it's all fake.
It didn't do
damage. No damage
is
done unless we take the extra
I don't think I ever paid attention to that.
And when I first checked that out, I thought this was just the same situation as the original King Hippo fight. Since there, he gets hit in the teeth and there's no visible damage. But with the way that this one is programmed, we don't have that same opportunity until the first tape snaps. So, in my research, we need
it takes more than one punch
to get the decision here. That's not going to cut it. With that said, title defense might be impossible, but we can take down the contender run as One Punch Mac. And with that, folks, run 10 kilometers on this one in the top right to see us take down Punch Out without dodging.
All right, that's all she wrote. So now we know, like, I was kind of right, but kind of wrong. So you can beat contender mode with only one punch, but you can't beat title defense mode because King Hippo with the manhole over his belly, and he doesn't take damage when you hit him in the face to expose it, which I never really realized that. That was something I don't think I ever paid attention to. And then, I mean, you got the difficulty with the characters, the fighters like Disco Kid, who regenerates, and Soda Pop, who also regenerates because of the juice, of course. So with those fights, you know, you have to wait until the last round to even take the lick, to get the lick in order to win those by decisions. But I knew, well, at least I had a feeling that the only way you could do this is by winning by decision, which, man, that'd be so tough for me. Like, just dodging everything, like, and only hitting them one time and then just letting the clock run out. Bruh, I go crazy. Kudos to Skip the Tutorial for doing that, because I don't know if I could ever do such a thing. This was an interesting video, and I hope you guys enjoyed my reaction to it. That's all she wrote. I will see y'all on the next video. Peace.